If it wasn't Xbox and weed, it would be something else. What is it we do here on the Red Pill? We swap notes. Now, I'm sure a lot of people have heard all kinds of different stories about us, so I'm here to give you a glimpse inside the locker room. Who am I? I'm Ryan. I used to be one of these guys. Just like you, I was good with women and relationships, but I wasn't great at it. And when hard times hit, things got tough, and it turns out there is nowhere for a man to go to solve these problems and learn to thrive. So, we built this space based on the experiences of hundreds of thousands of men just like you. It's men swapping notes, iron sharpening iron. Welcome to the locker room. Hey guys, I want to start out by saying I'm okay with it. I watch it myself, and I'm in no way against it. My problem is my partner and I rarely have sex, and I always had a high libido. This has been going on for 2 years. I caught him a year ago with a massive search history of it after I had our son, and we haven't had sex in 6 months. This led to a big fight where he promised to cut down, but said he was too tired for sex due to his physically demanding job. So, I was excited that he got a new job that's office skills based. He has so much energy now, but our sex life hasn't benefited at all. This morning, I had enough, and I know I shouldn't have, but I went through his phone and found literally hundreds of videos and pictures. There were multiple folders. I feel so betrayed, and while there isn't a physical woman he's with, I feel like he's cheating on me, and I feel physically ill. I don't even know when he has time to watch them all. Can anyone tell me, am I overreacting, or is this something my partner needs help with? Thank you. A couple of terms before we get started. Weed and Xbox. This one is based on a Rollo Tomassi article where he said if it wasn't Xbox and weed, it would be something else. And this cuts to the core of this. An avoidance strategy is just that, avoiding something. This guy here had a issue with using porn more than sleeping with his wife. Now, there's clearly something there that neither party is discussing, but instead he chose to escapism instead. This could be Xbox, this could be weed, this could be a drinking problem. If you're a boomer generation, it could be a gambling problem. In this case, he literally had porn instead of the girl that was already there. I could take a guess as to what the issue is here, and that's either he's not physically attracted to her anymore because, they just had a baby, and pretty much at that time, two things are going to change. The Madonna whore complex could happen, where he stops seeing her as a sexual woman, and he starts seeing it as the mother of his children, and totally desexualizes her in his mind. And the alternative is she gained a lot of weight and refused to lose it, and still expect the same desire that she had beforehand. Now, you can't mention this, not to a girl, and expect any kind of casual conversation about it, because the instant you mention that, you're going to get into some of the worst shaming tactics you've ever gotten into. And that's going to lead into the next point here and why this guy is instead hiding porn on his phone. Feelings are one of those things that women have in spades, and they use to the nth degree, more than a guy ever could, and that's the problem with communication. This guy is working at overtime to not hurt his wife's feelings. Now, she's working overtime to fix her feelings. In this case, she wants to feel sexually desired, but she doesn't know how to do that. Okay, granted, she does. Going to the gym, eating less, getting some help taking care of the kid while she's doing that, that's an easy solution. The problem is that doesn't feel good, because men have to become, and women just are. So if you get a girl that's, in this case, this one is 27. So probably for the last 10 years, she hasn't had to do anything. Her intrinsic value has been established by the male attention she got around her. She's had a great life. Kudos to her. Nothing wrong with that. The problem comes now. She's getting closer to 30. She's had a kid. They're in a relationship, and these things matter now. You actually have to take care of yourself. For us, it just looks like, okay, the problem is he's not finding you physically attractive. Go hit the gym, drop some weight. You'll be backed up to there in no time. For a guy, that's what we're hearing. For a girl and her feelings, this goes directly against her entire life script and all of the mental models that she's built up over her entire adult life. I am here, and just being me is good enough, and now that's changed. So what you think of as just a simple piece of advice is actually cutting to the core of her feminine identity. And this is why there's so much conflict around it, which leads to the next point. Conflict avoidance. A lot of these issues here are because the guy is too afraid of the feelings of his wife. It's walking on eggshells. Instead of addressing the fact that maybe he doesn't see her in that role anymore now that she's a mother, which puts it on her to stop acting like a mom and start acting like, the girlfriend that he used to date. Or in this case, knowing that she has some physical things to work on, he avoids the whole situation. At first, he just did it. Videos, sitting there in front of his computer at 3 a.m. or hiding with his phone in the bathroom. Eventually, she finds out because all girls will know if you're not sleeping with her, then who are you sleeping with? She did this dismissive thing saying, I don't normally do this, but I guarantee you she does. She snoops. Any girl who doesn't see things going her way will always snoop because they love their murder mysteries. Just watch the Netflix subscription model to see if I'm lying. So one of the many times she actually started snooping on her husband's stuff, she found all kinds of these videos and all kinds of photos and multiple folders. It's showing, again, it's attacking her core identity, that she's a real life person, but he would rather go to this stuff than to her. So right there's two things. There's a time for self-reflection, responsibility for their own role in this situation, or a time to blame it on other people. Girls will always take it as blaming others. They have a historic inability to do this responsibility accepting thing, and that goes back to like caveman days. So it's just a thing. It's not right or wrong. It is what it is. The problem comes with him completely unwilling to actually hurt her feelings, with him walking on eggshells and being conflict avoidant like this. This thing has been dragging on for years when it could have been solved in just 6 months in a CrossFit membership with a little bit of crying. From what I could say on these definitions, the one thing that guys seem to be the most damaging on when it comes to a girl's psyche is that they're afraid to make her cry by being honest. Nobody's honest with girls. I have a video, and I'm hoping I can remember to put it in the description and the end card, where girls have been lied to their whole life. The one benefit they have from a man in their life is that's one person that's supposed to be honest and not worry so much about her feelings or group cohesion. And a lot of guys really are failing on this front. My advice for this guy, it's pretty simple. The advice would have been, sort out your shit. This could have been solved 2 years ago. Some guys don't like the idea of having sex in the relationship when their wife or girlfriend is pregnant. That's outside the scope of this, but we'll leave that for now. Afterwards, there's always going to be some issues. The problem comes when the guys are afraid to confront those issues because it hurts their girl's feelings, makes her cry, makes her angry. Girls have a very good tool set when it comes to these kind of situations. They'll use anger, they'll use shame, they'll use wounding, they'll use ego. They'll tell you a great man loves a girl no matter what she looks like, health at any size. That's appealing to your ego. You like being a real man, and she just defined the terms of real man, so once you jump into her frame, that's for you. Don't do that. That's the advice. Girl gets angry. You say something truthful that hurts her feelings, but needs to be heard. She'll start getting angry at you, and to avoid conflict, you avoid the topic. Again, don't do that. There's the advice. Another one is vulnerability or playing wounded. She will act like the almost epitome of downtrodden women in hopes that your inner Captain Save-A-Hole will come out and rescue her from the big bad man that was actually you just being honest. Again, don't do that. Finally, there's shame. Shame is that one where they make you feel bad for being honest. Again, don't do that. And all these come from this core piece of advice that you have to be your own judge and take leadership over your own tribe and whoever is in it. In this case, the girl, newfound child. They're all under your protection. And so you don't need to be fearful of being honest with them. You don't need to be fearful of their emotions, their crying, and if they attempt to shame you or show anger, you can't let that affect you either. You're either running this or you're not. And if you try to play it off as equals, clearly she'll always win on these battle of equals, because guys have a history of always deferring to girls, and girls have a history of pure will to power. So unless you're in a dominant position here, you're always going to be second best, especially as equals. Harrison Bergeron was right. Why this matters to you, that's a good question. This matters to you because you may be a 20-year-old kid, you may not have a girlfriend right now, but this stuff matters, and if you can sort it out early on before you get into these heavy situations of a life with a girl, with kids, a situation like this, and horrible porn addiction that fills up your phone's memory, if you can deal with this during the casual dating phase where this just means a breakup and you get a new girl, well then when these situations come around, you're able to have these hard conversations, make these hard choices, and expect the best, not just out of you, but those around you. And I guarantee you, if you assume the best out of people and you hold them to standard, and you're willing to enforce your boundaries over that, you'll be surprised how well people can shape up and act right. I joked around in the last video how a mother-in-law will be absolutely brutal to her daughter, but once you're in the room, she's on her best behavior. People have a habit of acting right when they're incentivized to do so, and one of the best incentives around, especially for women, is a high-value man that values them. This high libido, low libido thing, let's skip that. That's weird dead bedrooms talk. It's a whole language created for married people that are incels, essentially, so forget about that. What I'm saying here is an alternative would have been, during the pregnancy, not letting her go completely out of control. There's a healthy amount of weight gain, and there's an unhealthy amount of weight gain. Holding people to task to stay healthy should be very easy. There's plenty of tools to do that. I cannot picture a girl on this planet who doesn't want to be thought of as a good mother. And good mothers are healthy moms, and healthy moms have healthy kids. So that third tub of ice cream, that should be a no-brain decision as long as you appeal to her emotional identity in the same way that appealing to honesty here hurts it. These are tools, and you can use them for the betterment of everybody. Secondly, once the baby's gone, do what you got to do as a leader. Maybe she needs time for the gym and she can't do it. Obviously, there's going to be a period at the beginning where the baby is an all-encompassing endeavor. Between breastfeeding, napping, changing, all that stuff, it's essentially impossible for her to rip away for more than a couple minutes. But there's eventually going to reach a point where you kind of need to wean her off that 24/7 thing so she can start working on herself. And yeah, it may not be the sexiest thing on earth to be Mr. Mom and the babysitter while she goes to the gym, but do you want a good relationship? Or do you want those traditional gender roles? Because you're not going to be able to get both, especially not in the modern age. So as an alternative to this one, do what you have to do, hold her to task, assume the best, and give her every opportunity to succeed. Now, if she doesn't, that could be one of two things. One, that means you need to sort out what's wrong in your life because she's following your lead. Women are just as crappy as you let them be, and that's just the way it is. Alternatively, you've seen a girl that isn't properly incentivized to think that there's going to be any consequences for breaking a hard relationship boundary. You're allowed to have standards, and boundary enforcement is going to be your friend here. All I can say is you no longer have the stick, so your boundary is to remove the carrot, and thank God for that. You only have 3 tools. You have your attention, you have your affection, and you have your commitment. So you pull those based on the disrespect of whatever boundary you've set. And if you're not willing to do that, well then you shouldn't be setting that boundary. But on that note, I'll leave you guys to it. We'll catch you on the next one. As always, come in, check out Patreon. You're going to have a good time. Links in the description. But I'll catch you later. Cheers.